Hey folks, welcome to another edition of My Car Guru. I am so glad to be here, and hopefully I can find some nugget of information that will help you, I guess, enjoy or manage your car life a little bit better. I haven't talked a lot about an important subject recently, and that's financing of vehicles. I know it sounds a little boring, but you can really screw up here, especially if you are not really paying attention to what you're doing. Because there is more money made financing cars for customers than on cars themselves. Yes, that's the truth. I am not kidding. The average dealer in the United States makes approximately $2,000 per vehicle retailed in the finance office. That's a lot of money. Where does that money come from? Well, we'll get into that so that you understand, how you can negotiate a little bit in the finance office, because everything's negotiable, right? And really, even if a business says that, no, we don't negotiate, sorry, there's still that's a negotiation, because your counteroffer is to leave the place, to turn around and walk out. You'll be surprised how many times people will yell after you or come chasing after you in the parking lot. I was just kidding. Or usually they'll just say, well, folks, don't just run off. Maybe we can do something. And you really don't know what that something is. But I'm going to empower you to know what the somethings are in the finance office that you can negotiate, and why you should, because that's a lot of money. $2,000 per car financed. That is some serious cash to the average consumer. So how would that affect your monthly payment? Well, if you finance them for 60 months at a going interest rate, it could affect your monthly payment anywhere from $45 to $60 a month, just if you were able to save that. And then if you could find some creative way to eliminate some of the negative equity that you have in your trade-in, that's how much more you owe on your vehicle than it's actually worth. That amount doesn't just go poof into the stratosphere. No, it actually gets tacked onto your contract to your amount financed and raises your payments there as well. You could, I've seen people refinance or basically buy a new car, roll in $15,000 or more of negative equity. How can they do that, Lenny? Well, it's because a lot of these banks, if you have a pretty good credit rating, good beacon score, then there are many banks that will finance 130% of MSRP. So on a $50,000 car, you could finance $65,000. So the minute you drive off the lot, let's say the car depreciates $5,000, so you're $20,000 upside down, and you haven't even gotten home yet, to show it to your neighbors and your grandmother. And you have the right to be excited about your car. Was it a great financial move? No, it was not. And then you go to the finance office and tack on another $6,000-$8,000 worth of finance products. You may not even have known they were there if you're a payment buyer. They probably just used the four-square negotiation technique and hit your payment target. And so, you bought all this extra stuff you didn't know you bought. But in fact, it's adding a whopper amount to your monthly payment. And like I say, and then you have the negative equity thing. You wonder why people struggle, with their finances in anywhere from 6 to 18 months after they bought a new car, because the joy has worn off and reality has taken a firm hold. And then what's even worse, you realize you bought the wrong car. It just doesn't fit your lifestyle. And, everybody's complaining about it. They can't see out of it. You can't see out of it. You can't park it right. It doesn't have enough acceleration. All the different reasons why you would become dissatisfied with a vehicle. And then you make the fatal decision. Rather than to live in the mess that you created or that somebody helped create for you, you decide to go trade again. And somehow you come up with enough down payment to convince some lender to do it all over again. And then you're $30,000 upside down. You've bought more finance products, and you have a much higher payment, but at least you like the vehicle, right? I'm always looking for the bright side of things. Some things there just is no bright side, and that's one of them. Okay, I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, I have been going to battle for all Tennesseans. If you don't live in Tennessee, that would be in the United States if you happen to be one of my foreign listeners. If you don't live here, I'm sorry, but if you do, hopefully the advertising rules will be changed because of me. So I made a proposal to the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission to change the wording as far as their advertising guidelines. The advertising guidelines did say that no dealer shall state an advertised price which includes any trade-in allowance, down payment, capitalized cost reduction, which would be on a lease, or any funds which the consumer is expected to pay in order to reduce the cost of the vehicle to the advertised price, other than, now that's usually an important statement. Whenever it says other than, that's when you start paying attention. Other than rebates from the manufacturer or distributor. And they have to be available to all consumers. Well, I had a dealer that is a competitor that was creating dealer rebates, which really don't exist. It's just a discount. A rebate is something you can actually use as down payment to reduce the purchase price of the car. If it's a dealer assistance of some kind or some type of a dealer rebate, you can't use that as down payment. The bank will not like that if they find that out. That used to be a problem back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it was the wild, wild west back then. It's kind of the wild, wild west right now, again, with all this crazy advertising. But anyway, I submitted what I thought that particular statement, or basically how it needed to read. And this is what I said. Dealers shall not advertise any vehicle price, including but not limited to final price, our price, or similar terms that reflects any deduction other than, see, there it is again, other than, the dealer's own price discount from the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and rebates or incentives provided directly by the manufacturer or distributor, I like saying it that way, that are available to all consumers. So basically, well, not basically, absolutely, this statement would eliminate the possibility of these fake dealer rebates. And it would make it a level playing field for all dealers because they would have to start at MSRP, which is it's the best place to start. I mean, you don't want to pay MSRP for a car. But in some cases, if a vehicle is scarce, hard to come by, then you're just going to have to pay it. In many cases, it's over MSRP, especially like it was during the pandemic. Because, I mean, I've got probably 450 new vehicles out there on my lot right now. During the pandemic, I was lucky to have 20. And we couldn't survive if we didn't charge more for every vehicle. And people were paying it because they needed cars, and that was the only alternative. I mean, we had to survive, and I hated it, but that's what we had to do. But MSRP is a fair place to start because it's offered by the manufacturer. It's actually there on the window sticker. Now, sometimes you'll have the sticker beside the sticker. Some dealers call it the addendum sticker or the add-on label or whatever. There's some dealers around here that will add on $5,000, and all that does is give them extra markup. And hopefully the consumer is savvy enough to look at the sales contract that has the taxes and everything and see what they're actually paying for the car. But most people don't because they're not savvy. They haven't been listening to my car guru. But every car has an MSRP and every car has an invoice price, which is what the dealer pays for the vehicle. Now, when it's all said and done, that's not the dealer's cost of the vehicle because he gets some rebates from the manufacturer himself. It's often referred to as dealer holdback, and it can average on typical imported cars, it's about 1.5%. And on domestic vehicles, why it's different, I don't know, but on domestic vehicles, it's anywhere from 2 to 3%. So if a dealer sells you his vehicle for his factory invoice price, then all he's making is his holdback, unless there's some type of other dealer incentive that the manufacturer is offering. Sometimes they do that. And sometimes they have special bonuses that they will pay to dealers if dealers hit their objectives that are set by the manufacturer. So, for example, we may have an objective where we need to sell 50 Nissans this month. And if we sell 50 Nissans, they'll pay us $200-300 per car, if we hit that objective. So that's pretty cool, and it's pretty motivational, for dealers to cut some real tight deals in order to get that month-end bonus money. But as I was saying, every dealer has a MSRP and an invoice price. Anytime, in my opinion, that you can buy a vehicle, unless it's just something that doesn't sell very well at all, or like a carryover model. Like right now, if you're looking at a new 2024 model car, you shouldn't pay anywhere close to invoice. You should be able to get that thing way back of invoice. $5,000-6,000 even, maybe more than that. Because the dealer really shouldn't have that car in stock, and he doesn't want it in stock. He's ashamed of it. He's put all kind of bonus money on that vehicle to try to get his salespeople to focus on it and sell it, and it just hasn't sold. I mean, he even thinks it's almost sale-proof. I've got one out there. I'm not going to admit what it is. It's a Nissan Z, and it's a 2024 model, yeah. That doesn't even want to come out of my mouth. And, the cars are just really slow sellers. Fantastic car. It's yellow. It's a 7-speed, I think it's a 7-speed transmission, 400 horsepower. Beautiful car. It's just that there aren't a lot of buyers for them. And if somebody were to call me and say, would you take $8,000 off of invoice for that vehicle? I probably would, because it needs to go. So, on those types of cars, you don't want to pay invoice. But if you can get just about any other car and you can pay the dealer invoice, and the only way to verify that it's the invoice is to get that information online, because a lot of dealers will lie to you. Can you believe that? Where do they come off doing that? But yeah, some of them will. And they'll have some fake invoice. Now, you can tell a factory invoice when you see it because it looks like something from the factory. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but it'll have the MSRP, all the options. It'll have the retail price and the dealer price. And at the very bottom, it'll have the full MSRP plus freight, and it'll have the dealer cost plus freight, or dealer invoice plus freight. And yeah, if they sell it to you for that price, then they're going to make a little bit of money, but they should, right? I mean, it's not a not-for-profit business, and they got bills to pay, and they got to run their service departments. It's okay for the dealership to make something. And trust me, there'll be plenty of people that will come into the dealership that buys the vehicle the wrong way, that more than covers their bills, especially in a lot of the shady stores. I mean, they will absolutely knock people's heads off. And occasionally they'll have to give one away because they get a savvy buyer in there that isn't going to put up with all that crap. So I want to continue on this rule change. Also stated that no advertised price may include reductions resulting from individual dealer programs such as private rebates, allowances, incentives, trade-in assistance, financing assistance, or any other offer that is not uniformly available to all consumers. I mean, that's basically what the rule states. If you just go to Google and type in Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission advertising rules and go down to the price advertising section, it basically says that thing, but it's not clear enough, and it needs to be clear. So let's talk a little bit about the finance office and how can you save money in there. So let's say that you've followed my 4 steps precisely. You haven't, they brought out the Foursquare negotiation sheet, where they show you the selling price, the trade, the down payment, and different payment options. And you've told them to take that and make a paper airplane out of it and fly it out the window. Now bring me a sale contract that shows the complete breakdown of the selling price of the car, the trade, and all the taxes and fees, and shows any add-ons that you guys have in there. Okay. And then it may take a little fight, but they'll bring it out. And then you'll look that over, and let's say you're satisfied with the selling price and the trade value, and they've not added anything else in there. Then you're going to go in the finance office, and you're going to sit down, and they're going to quote payments to you. It's very important at this point to say, what are you including in that payment? And typically they will have a menu of items. Now, we have an electronic menu. The desk is actually a computer screen. It's really cool. And it shows everything from 0 add-ons, where you're not buying any extended warranty, gap insurance, any kind of protection packages, prepaid maintenance, that kind of stuff. So you have no ads, and then you have different combinations. You can go full boat if you want to and have all the protection. But at least it's all laid out there for you to see. Some dealerships don't do it that way. They'll say, well, your payment for 84 months is going to be $792 a month. Sign here. You say, I'm not signing anything. Give me a breakdown on that. What's included in that? Are there any aftermarket products included in that payment? That's the phrase, folks. Are there any aftermarket products included in that monthly payment? And there'll be a deathly silence. And then the first one to talk loses. It's usually going to be the finance manager. Yeah, that's got an extended warranty in it, gap protection. It's got prepaid maintenance and what else? Oh, yeah, this paint and dent repair. Okay, take all that out and give me a base payment with none of that. I'm not allowed to do that. Well, you better do it or I'm leaving. So he does it. And then you look at that payment. Well, how much is it? Well, it's $582. Well, that's a monstrous savings right there. Okay, Mr. Finance Manager, tell me about the extended warranty, because that's something I might be interested in. What does it cover? Is it exclusionary coverage? In other words, does it state everything that's excluded from the warranty, not everything that's included? Because if you try to look at a list of stuff that was included, that was covered by the warranty, I mean, how would you know if you're missing something? There's a lot of parts on a car. So you want to know what's not covered, not what is covered. And what's the deductible, and what's the term, and what's the miles that are covered, and does it start from day one? If you're buying a used car, you have to ask that question. Does it start from today, or does it start from when that vehicle was first put into service? Because that matters, doesn't it? I mean, if you're buying a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty that started 3 years ago, because that's when the vehicle was first put into service, then I'd want to know that. I want a warranty on a used car that starts today. And then if it's a new car, you know that it starts today, as long as they report it to the manufacturer. So he gives you a payment with that in it. And you don't care what the payment. What's the price of the warranty, sir? It's $3,900. No, I'm not paying $3,900 for a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The Car Guru says I should be able to buy that for, around $2,000, $2,500. Who's he? Well, he's a guy that knows. So get your pencil sharp, or we'll go and I'll buy something online from somebody else. I know I sound like I'm being a little hateful. Maybe you can change the tone a little bit. But I just do not like people who try to bury stuff without me seeing it. This is my money, your money. And he's just trying to get more of it. And so you can find out on each of the products that he's trying to sell, well, how much is the gap insurance? I thought the credit union included gap insurance. Sometimes they do, and you need to know that. So you can imagine if you whittle this down far enough, then they're not going to make that much money on you, and you'll get the benefit of the products that they have, which are good products, especially if it's a manufacturer-backed extended service contract / warranty. I mean, if you're at a Ford dealership and it's a Ford ESP, then it's good, because you're covered at any Ford dealer. There's not going to be an argument if you pull into a dealership and ask if this particular thing is covered, because that dealership may not honor that warranty. I'll tell you an example of that here in just a minute. So I had a radio show listener. They called me and they said, I'm at a dealership in Chattanooga, and I've been listening to you about these warranties. These people are trying to rip me off. And I said, well, what's the problem? I said, well, I have a Malibu, transmission's out of it. And, my warranty is supposed to be bumper to bumper, covers the transmission, but they're wanting to charge me $600 extra in labor, that over and above what the warranty company will pay, and they're wanting to charge me shipping on this transmission, which is another $400. And I said, well, that doesn't sound right to me. What's the warranty company? And she told me. So I made a few phone calls. And it's true. That dealership is trying to rip her off. And it's because it's an aftermarket warranty. It's not she's going to a Chevy store. It's not the Chevy, whatever their protection plan is. And so she's having a fight on her hands to try to get the claim paid. And if you think that one's bad, you ought to try to get a claim paid by some of these ones that you get in the mail that says that, warning, your warranty is about to expire when you just bought the car 2 weeks ago. And they're trying to sell your warranty. You're supposed to take those and make paper airplanes out of them as well. And if somebody happens to have your cell phone number or your home phone number and call you trying to sell you a warranty over the phone, unless it's the dealership calling or the manufacturer, which it won't be, well, it could be the dealership. Maybe they have some type of follow-up program. But if it is anybody else, you don't want anything to do with those warranties. They may sound cheap. And it makes you feel so good. Now I've got protection. I'm protected from bumper to bumper. No, you're not. Wait till you have a claim. And you're in Savannah, Georgia at an Audi dealership, and that's your only choice, and they say, sorry, we don't honor this. Because that's what's going to happen. But if you have Toyota's brand warranty, Honda's brand warranty, Ford, GM, Audi, Porsche, whatever, it's no problem if you go to one of those stores. And it's not a problem if you go to an off-brand to another brand store and try to get something covered, because they know that it's a manufactured back product and you don't have to worry about it. So let me ask you, is it important to pay attention when you get into the finance office? It sure is. But what happens is people are tired. They've been trying to buy a car all day. They think it's almost over. Oh, we just got to sign some paperwork. No. There's an extra sales job that's getting ready to happen. And you just can't lay down. You can't let your guard down. Might be a good time just say, I want the car. Here's a deposit. We're going to buy the car, but I'm tired. I want to go home, and we'll do the paperwork tomorrow. No, we don't. We got to do the paperwork now. No, we don't. I'm going to go home, and I'll be back in the morning. We'll do the paperwork when my mind's a little bit fresher. Fair enough? And if you just get up, start walking out, they don't really have any option. And maybe that's what you need to do. So where else are you going to learn this kind of stuff? Nowhere. Trust me, I've looked. There's nobody that talks to consumers like this, car buyers. And if you have friends, or I'm sure you do, or relatives, young, old, you need to tell them about this show, and you need to have them go to the podcast channels like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, all of those. You just type in My Car Guru podcast, and the least you can do for them is get a copy of the My Car Guru guidebook, because it summarizes these very points, and it might be just enough to get them to save thousands of dollars in a transaction. Send me your email address to my only cell phone. You had a customer question that the other day. Are you sure that's your only cell phone number? And I said, yes, it is. He says, you're crazy. 423-552-2020. Or you can email me, LennyLawson2020 @gmail.com. And I'll see you on the next edition of My Car Guru.